Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
My name is Saxbe, and I'm an alcoholic. Hi. I'm a very lucky alcoholic because for just short of 35 years, I haven't had to take a drink or a pill or a sedating or tranquilizing pill of any kind. And that ain't bad for a tongue-chewing, babbling idiot drunk. If you don't like me tonight, you should have known me 35 years ago. Somebody talked about hiding out. When I'd get on a drunk, I would hide out of all places at the Beverly Hills Lawn Bowling Club. I knew that nobody that knew me would ever look for me there. And you know something? I learned how to bowl. I knew the game better then than I do now, before I'd ever rolled a bowl, you know, because I'd watched them. Of course, I only watched them so long because I had a supply in the car. And I would go to the car and I would take me a nice shot every once in a while. And when I'd go back and I couldn't see the bowls, I'd go home. But I've had a good time with the game in the last 35 years. If you get the idea, before I get through, that I love this program and I love its people, you'll be right. I love this program and I love its people. This is the only good life I have ever known. The only easy life that has ever been mine in my entire lifetime. I was always an outsider until I found you. I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. We came along boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, and I was 3rd. But I never did feel like I belonged to the family. I never felt like I belonged to anything until I found you people. I walked alone for 43 years, and it's cold outside. It's cold outside. So again, this is a fascinating thing to me. And the most fascinating part of it is that unless I am badly mistaken, there's nobody in this room tonight that needs anything added to their life. Unless I'm badly mistaken. After walking with people like you for almost 35 years, I am totally convinced that the first 2 words of the Lord's Prayer mean what they say. Our Father, God. Now, everything in me believes that's true. My hair and my toenails believe it's true. So, if it be true, you can let your imagination go crazy, and you can't even get close to the truth of being itself. I'm convinced clear through that the gift of God was made at the foundation of the earth. He gave us himself and the universe in the beginning. And he's always known that it's belonged to us, that it belongs to us, because he gave it to us. But you and I have to discover it for ourselves. We have to make the discovery. And it took me 43 years, plus another 6, to discover that I had a God of my own, very own. Wherever I am, he is. I discovered that when I was 6 years in Alcoholics Anonymous. So, it's been my experience, and this is the reason that I say that insofar as I'm concerned, Alcoholics Anonymous is nothing in the world but uncovering, discovering, and discarding. Uncover, discover, and discard. We uncover the thing we've been looking for all our life and discover it, and then we discard the misinformation that's been laid on us since we were born. Now, just for the fun of it, to show you that I'm not totally loco, I have once in a while have a room full of PhDs down in my house, you know? And when I get sick of them, I say to them, gentlemen, did it ever occur to you what it would be like if you never wanted nothing, no time for yourself? And their chins drop, and they look at me like I was a total imbecile, and they pack up their little grips and slowly walk away. You see, they know that it's not normal not to want something. They know that you're supposed to get out there and beat your brains out so you can be this, have that, and be known as. I spent 43 years trying to do that. I was born in a family that's too poor to paint and too proud to whitewash. And I worked all my life trying to get something. 43 years. And I ended up at the ripe old age of 43, a failure in every department of life. I failed as a husband, a father, a businessman, a man, and a drunk. Now that's all the departments I had. If I'd had another department or two, I'd have failed in that too. But that was all my departments. And I take the credit for that. Because in that first 43 years, I was the master of ceremonies and the star of the show. And I take credit for the first 43 years. I take absolutely no credit for the last 35 years of my life. None whatsoever. I'm going to tell you a little about it. Many of you have heard it, but you're going to listen to it again or go home, one or the other. And I'd rather you didn't go home till I gave Clancy's birthday, because I want you to realize that I'm your fearless leader's superior. then, didn't I? Now, my last drunk to date lasted from the Friday before Christmas, 1945, till shortly after the middle of January 1946. Now, during that entire time, I don't remember anything. Don't remember a damn thing, and I can't elaborate on this because I haven't got that much time. But I'm rather glad that I can't remember any part of it at all. Because if I could, I'm pretty sure I could figure out a way to take credit for the last 35 years. I think I could, even if I could remember drinking the whiskey. I could say to you, well, God damn it, I drank the whiskey. And that's what did it. But I don't remember drinking the whiskey, so I can't even take credit for that. I came to, after 3.5 or 4 weeks, I don't know just exactly how much, with the clearest head I've ever known in my lifetime. I just came to with a clear head. And I could see me for the first time in my life, with nothing between me and me. Because, you see, everything had burned out. All the excuses were gone. And incidentally, I drank for some 28 years, and up until my last drunk, it was never my fault that I got drunk. Now that's difficult for me to believe, because the last 12 years that I drank, I was a periodic. And I was physically as dry as I am tonight, between every 2 drunks for a dozen years. And I could look at my record with physically dry eyes, right up until the last drunk, and come up with the conclusion that it wasn't my fault. It was your fault. It was my wife's fault. It was her mother's fault. Now there was a reason for getting drunk. She only had 1 kid, and I was married to her. And she was living with us. She had a grandstand seat watching me crucify her only daughter. She didn't like me very good, and I didn't like her that good. Because, you see, if she had been living with us, I wouldn't have had to crucify a daughter. It was her fault. Now, looking at that from where I stand right now, it seems impossible. One of those drunks surely should have appeared to me to be my fault, by accident, if nothing else. You know? I could make excuses for a daily drinker for believing that somebody else's fault all the time. Because, you see, a habitual drinker, a daily drinker, doesn't get well enough to get sick. They're half in the bag all the time. So, I can imagine that they could kid themselves, but how in the world could anybody as smart as I am look at a record for a dozen years and be able to come up every time with the answer, I've learned my lesson. The next time it's going to be different. The next time it's going to be different. And I could do that until my last drunk. And of course it was different. It was worse, just like it's always been. My My woman, if she was talking tonight, she's here. She makes a good talk, too. But she belongs to a different fellowship. She's anonymity and a hot cha-cha. That she tells me that during that whole time, that last drunk of mine, that I destroyed 7 quarts of whiskey every 3 days. Now that sounds a little bad, you know. It's a lot of whiskey. But I don't think it's too much for 3 days. I don't think it'd be too much if you did it 15 days. But if you do it 4 weeks, it's either just enough or too much. And in my case, it was just enough. Because I saw me without anything between me and me at all. And not only were the excuses all gone, but the I wants were gone. Now this is a hard thing to talk about. But it's freedom. Since I've mentioned the word freedom, let me give you one of the greatest freedoms on the face of the earth. I sit up on a hill down in Laguna Beach, look right down on top of that town, in the ocean, Catalina Island, China. Still lie a lot too, you know. And one of the greatest freedoms that I'll ever have is to look at that Pacific Ocean, and my hair and my toenails know that if that whole Pacific Ocean was bourbon whiskey, it would not be enough to satisfy my obsession to drink. There's no way to satisfy an obsession of the mind. No way. It's divinely impossible. It's divinely impossible. But what a deal it is to look out there, all that water, knowing that if it was bourbon whiskey, it wouldn't be enough to satisfy my obsession to drink. And frankly, I'm sure that there were many times, particularly in my last dozen years of drinking, when had it been necessary, I would have killed for a pint. Had it been necessary. It wasn't necessary. Somehow or another I got it without killing. And you see what a deal that is? To look at the whole ocean and know that it's not enough to satisfy our obsessions. Now that's true through all the obsessions of the mind. All the I wants that we have. The father of the I wants is the human ego. And the human ego is duality. Me against you, me against life, me against God. Duality. Duality is the only problem there is in this life, and unity is the only answer. Unity is the only answer. And it is my total conviction tonight that the only roadblock between me and you and me and God is the human ego. When that's gone, there is no roadblock. I'm going to tell you why I think that and hurry along. I told you I beat my brains out for 43 years to get what I thought I was born without. The morning I took a look at myself, when I came to, I accepted the fact that I'd lost the battle of life. It was the first time in 43 years that I'd ever admitted defeat. But I knew I'd lost. I didn't know why. Because I knew nothing of alcoholism, nothing at all. I knew about drinking, but not alcoholism. I knew why my good wife, after 20 years, was divorcing me. And I might say quickly, without cause. And I knew she should have done it 10 years before. And I knew why my kids wouldn't come home when I was around. And I knew why my boss man had sent word to the house that if I ever step foot in the plant again, he's going to throw me through the window. And the window that he had picked out for that purpose don't open. It's plate glass. I accepted the fact that morning that everything dear to me in life was gone and should be gone, and that I was not entitled to have it back. I'm going to say that again because this is what my life has been built on for 35 years. I totally and completely accepted the fact that everything dear to me in life was gone and should be gone, and that I was not entitled to have it back. And I had only one piece of unfinished business before I died, because I also accepted death that morning. Nobody could live in the shape I was in. And I had only one piece of unfinished business. That was to rub out as much of the record as I could before I died. Because I didn't want my wife and my kids to remember me as nothing but a tongue-chewing, babbling idiot drunk. That morning I remembered that Mr. C had found Jack Alexander's article in the Post. March 1st, 1941, 5 years before. She had put that on the left arm of the chair I sit in right now. Opened at the right page, hoping I would read it when I came in, if I came in. And evidently I read it. I'd never remembered any part of it until that morning. And I remembered only this much, that drunks helped drunks and didn't drink. And they called it Alcoholics Anonymous. And I said to myself, if I ever live to get out of this bed, I'll find AA. And immediately the curtain dropped. Immediately. My little period of sanity was over. And I was sickened to death, drunk and insane. And I had a lot of dying to do. But from the second of commitment until right now, I've never had to have a drink or a pill. So, I believe our book so totally, where it says, we cease to fight anything or anybody. The book says that. We cease to fight anything or anybody. One of the greatest lines in the book. Because if we be alcoholic, this is something we can't win of ourselves. It's impossible to know enough. Because I knew a lot. I had grown up knowing that as soon as I knew enough, everything was going to be all right. All I had to do was know enough. When I got to the place where I knew everything, there wasn't nothing I didn't know. I couldn't even get out of bed and come and tell you what I knew. For a philosopher of my ability, that's bad medicine. So, the next great discovery was that you can live yourself in the right thinking, but you can't think yourself in the right living. You scholars, forget it. This is when you win in surrender. Surrender. Give up the fight. fantastic. Fantastic. Now I want to give you a couple more freedoms along with that thing looking at the ocean. It's a big group, this. And you've got a hell of a leader. It's no secret that I taught him everything he knows. But he's a hell of a guy. And so, I want to add a couple more freedoms. If it were necessary for me to compare myself with anybody in this room, including your fearless leader, I would condemn myself to a lifetime of unhappiness. To be free of the necessity to compare is a fabulous freedom. Because you see, you can never win in that thing. If you're comparing yourself to other people, you'll beat the first four and the fifth one beats the hell out of you. And you go home sick. Stay sick. Now the reason for that is that there's nobody like you. On the face of the earth, there's nobody like you. Nobody. There's another you on the face of the earth. If you didn't have anything but your thumbprint to prove it. Your thumbprint proves it. There's not another thumbprint like yours since the beginning of time. Why? Because God don't make mistakes. If he made two of us just alike, one of us would be unnecessary. Do you hear me? That's the reason each one of us have got to make our contribution or it won't be made. Nobody can make your contribution but you. So get rid of the necessity to compare. And the last one is the most beautiful of all. To be rid of the necessity to judge. Oh God, what a freedom this is. To be rid of the necessity to judge. You know that the only person you can judge is yourself. No matter what you say about me, you're saying about you. If it's bad, you couldn't be good enough to be compared with me, but if it's bad, there's a verse in another book that some of us read once in a while, and it says, "Judge not that you be not judged." And then it explains why. For with whatsoever judgment ye judge, ye are judged. And with whatsoever measure ye meet, it'll be measured to you again, heaped up, pressed down, running over. Now that's what we get judging. So it's better to get out of that trap too. That's a bad old trap. To be rid of the necessity to judge. That never hit me so hard as it did a few years ago when a friend of mine got me booked to speak to 2,000 Christians at 7:30 on Good Friday morning at a breakfast. 7:30. Well, I don't get up to noon if I can help it. And all this time, this guy was talking to me once in a while and about this. And I thought it was the biggest joke in the world. But when they said they were going to ask me, and he accepted for me, I got a little bit perturbed. And I said to me, what the hell are you going to tell these people? Because you don't believe what they believe. And you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to injure them in any way. So what are you going to say to them? And I got a little inspiration. Said the 10 words. You know, when they had the carpenter man nailed up on that cross. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And while I was making that talk, I knew how come he could say, after all they had put him through, you know, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what to do. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the old boy didn't have to stay up there on that hill, and he darn near chickened out, too, didn't he? He almost chickened out up on the hill. Every once in a while, he'd go around to see if the boys were praying for him, and they were all asleep. And he'd go back and pray again. Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Well, now, I'd have chickened out right there. Because, you see, he could do a lot of funny things. He walked on the water. He raised the dead. You know, he fed the multitude. So he could do a lot of things. Then he could have disappeared. There you go, poof. And that's what I'd have done. And when I got out there at that Gethsemane deal, you know, they kicked him and spat on him and cursed him and did everything. And then they got him out there and nailed him on that cross. Stuck a sword in his side. He says, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what to do. And I said to these people, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that. I said, look, Father, look what these bastards have done to me. And I'd have followed that up quick with let's have a little earthquake and drop them in. Close up. Now that's what I'd have done. But he didn't do it. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what to do. Why? How come he could say that? Because, you see, he had discovered who and what he was, which included his relationship to his very own God and to his accusers. And he knew that they had not made that discovery, that they were doing what they had to do because of the obsessions of the mind. They were doing what they had to do. And so I'm saying to you that tonight, that insofar as I'm concerned, I don't even have to sit in judgment of the murderer and the rapist and the thief, because I know that they're doing what they have to do. You see, I drank whiskey for a long time. And for the biggest part of that time, I had to drink whiskey. I had to. Because, you see, when the obsessions of the mind, when the emotions and or the imagination and the willpower are in conflict, the emotions and the imagination always win. Always. It's a lie. This thing just came on. I haven't gotten started. There! I'll hurry up. When the imagination and emotions are in conflict, with the willpower. Their willpower might as well not be at all, because it can't win. So, the carpenter man knew that, and I know that. And I'm going to bring this thing to a close like this. I love you. That's the reason I'm here. I'm not very well tonight. I'm sort of sicky. I've got a little infliction. What is that? Affliction. Affliction. I said it wrong. And it's bad enough. It's emphysema. And I have a little trouble breathing, but today I've had it twice. I've had it up here and down here. My belly's gone too. So if this was any other meeting, I wouldn't have been here tonight. I stayed home and pouted in bed. But I couldn't stay home from this one. And I'm glad I came. Now, I came out here to tell you I love you. And it don't make any difference who you are, or what color you are. Don't make a bit of difference. Because, you see, I know who you are. I know who you are. Whether you do or not, I know who you are. And so, I know that every one of you are doing the best you can according to your light. That is, according to your understanding. Because when we know better, we do better. And with this, I'm quitting. You know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, we don't raise hell with our people that we work with. We don't raise hell with them. We get a little rough once in a while when we think they're using us or something like that. But it's kindly. We don't wish them bad. We don't wish them ill at all. We look at them with eyes of compassion. And that's what makes this thing work. Our thing works because we love each other. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope, one with another in love. That's what makes this thing work. And so, since I learned better, I've had almost 35 years without one conscious desire for a drink or pill. Now, you can't hardly beat that. From where I came from, it's impossible with men. But it's possible with God. And if you want to play with that a little bit, you'll have to come up with the fact that God is life. Now, people of all religions and none have proclaimed that. God is life. If you could die, somebody God would have to die. You can't die. You're God's kid, even as I am. And you're stuck with yourself forever, world without end, amen. And that's where the shoe pinches. Isn't that a lousy outlook? You're stuck with yourself forever. So, it seems to me that it's indicated that we learn how to live comfortably, peacefully, and joyously with ourselves. And the way to learn it is to use our formula in chapter 5 for sobriety only, and also come up with the total conclusion that the same formula is a formula for the good life and the formula for self-discovery. God, my Father, I, his kid. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I don't not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.